The year is 87039, new nonlinear time. It's been 50,000 years since Steven Zapata's final art stream, but we still live in a golden age defined by the gifts his stream bestowed upon mankind. Faster than light travel, eternal life, Steven cloning, and the keys to a truly galactic human civilization. My name is Stave Satapaz, a reminder clone of Steven Zapata, an exact reproduction of his personality as constructed by an AI compiling millions of hours of his original art streams. By all accounts, I'm exactly like the original Steven's public persona, just more muscular, exactly as he would have wanted. I travel the stars on my light tracer, a dream of Steven. My crew is, of course, all clones of Steven. Some of my officers are reminders like me, but not all. Some are bioclones, and yet others are aspectoids, clones who, instead of trying to capture his full essence, amplify a particular portion of the original Steven's personality. We've spent hundreds of years drawing, exploring, and philosophizing while snaking our way through the stars, spreading the good word of design. But we've had another, secret mission as we've cruised the cosmos. I seek information on the legendary originals, Steven Zapata's true drawings that he flung wide across the stars at the end of his life on Earth, never to be seen again. My crew thinks I'm looking for them for the same reason all the other madmen do, because they would be valuable beyond all reason. But they don't know what I know, that a critical mass of originals in the hands of a trained reminder can provide a psychic link to the original Steven mind. Once I collect enough, I'll be able to fulfill my destiny and achieve psychological continuity with the original Steven. And through me, he will live again to usher in golden ages of art forever. Drawing Ascendant, the eternal chronicles of Steven Zapata. Lasting Legacy 1, Epic 1. We're live. We're live on the internet. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? How are we doing? I see Neregus, the Redacted Computer, Scaramouche, Mitchell, Dr. Purple, the Infraggable L. Graven, Dylan Baker, Vega, Tree Watcher, my good friend Joseph Marziliano, and many, many others. Let the record show that the stream is festooned with glorious names, that there is more historied and legendary characters here than anyone could have ever hoped or asked for. Apologies for the voice, everybody. I'm not feeling very well today. Woke up sick, so I'm probably going to sound a little strange. My apologies. First live stream, Pink Cloud. Good for you, Pink Cloud. It's your live stream birthday. It's a more memorable birthday in the sense that you can actually remember it. You can actually remember this birthday, unlike your real birthday, when you came howling from your mother. You don't remember that. Your mother does. Your mother certainly does, but you do not. So in some sense, this is more real. We've swapped the internet problems of the last stream for the sickness problems of this stream. Hello, Matcha. Hello, Gemmel. Hello, Graven. No worries for Joe. I took a COVID test. It was negative. It is not COVID. I probably just have a cold. I did not feel it yesterday when we were together. But who knows? Maybe you got my cold. Maybe I got it from you or Omar or Annie or anybody. But there you go. How's it going, Mr. Steven? Ready for my 9,000 questions again? I'm always ready. The best thing about questions on the internet is that I don't have to answer all of them. I get to pick and choose which ones I answer. So you can ask 9,000. The question is, will Steven answer them? Do you do creative writing, Steven? Your descriptions are always as detailed as your drawings. Yeah, I mean, I consider all of the writing that I do in the things that I say in YouTube videos and the little descriptions here and there. To me, that is creative writing, and it's the same, like, that's the creative writing I'm really interested in doing at this time in my life. I'm not like trying to write a novel or anything like that. I've done plenty of it in the past, though. You know, I've written short stories. I wouldn't say I've ever written like a full big thing. I think probably the most cohesive thing I've ever done that was a focus project was probably, you'd probably say it was a collection of essays, you know? It's probably, I don't think it would be the length even of, what's the official length of a novella? Let's see. Novella word count. 10,000 to 40,000 words. Probably the most cohesive thing I've ever written is a collection of essays. It might have hit 10,000 words. It might be novella length, but that's the closest I've ever come to like a big focused creative writing thing. What an intro, says TN. You know what's up. Yeah, it's an incredible intro. Some would say it's a genre-defining intro, and the sum there is me. It's me saying that. I would say it's a genre-defining intro. Do you have any good book recommendations? Depends what you like to read. If you like fantasy and sci-fi, I've been thinking of Patrick Rothfuss's Kingkiller Chronicles again lately. That's been on my mind. I have not been reading it. It's been probably a couple years since my last reread. But if you've never read that, I'd recommend it. It's not for everybody. Let's see, what else can I recommend fantasy-wise? Brandon Sanderson seems to be up to a lot. Last I read of him was Mistborn, the initial Mistborn trilogy. You could check that out. I like that. Have you seen Prey? I have not. Vega says Kingkiller Chronicles is amazing. Yeah. Ricardo says, damn, that book is so cheesy. No, you just have terrible taste. It's not a cheesy book. It's just you haven't refined your ability to appreciate high-level art. But that's okay. Don't be embarrassed. You know, you stick around here long enough, you're gonna get exposed to my completely refined and utterly perfect taste, and it'll improve yours as long as you're willing to grow and pay attention. Kingdom of Thieves is meh. I'm not sure what that is. Is that a Brandon Sanderson book? Can you draw an anime girl? Never! Let's put on a little music for this one, just because my voice is hurting, because my throat is hurting. So maybe I'll be less inclined to run my mouth and exacerbate my sickness if a little music is going. That rarely works though. I'll keep it at a level you guys can't hear it that much. Persona says, what's your take on some social media artists who have lots of followers but lack the skills? How does this happen? Well, how it happens is pretty straightforward. They have a knack or a talent or an aptitude for marketing, for making things that are relevant and actually interesting to people, as opposed to the skill set of the highly skillful artist, where those artists tend to have a knack or a talent or a skill for practicing completely obsolete and uninteresting skill sets that don't produce art that is useful or interesting to anybody in the entire world. And then they grow in resentment and self-righteousness until they wind up with a stream on YouTube where they pontificate in an asymmetrical fashion to a parasocial audience, and use that to validate their own unvetted and uncritiqued viewpoint. Hey Steven, recently doing Bernie Wrightson studies. What's your opinion of him? He's great. I've got his Frankenstein up right dead. I can see it on the bookshelf beyond my webcam right now. It's actually, you know, optically speaking, it's about 2 thumb heights above my webcam from my viewpoint. It's sitting right on top of Vadividia's Soul Arts, which I still have wrapped in the plastic because I plan to unwrap Soul Arts and record a reaction. I can tell you just from what I've seen online and from the quality of the slipcase still wrapped in plastic, that quality book. Looks a bit like Ridley Scott. Yes, I thought the same thing. Which makes sense because I had just been looking at a photo of Ridley Scott before I started drawing this. Have you read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Yes, I have. It's been a long time. I remember liking it a lot. Emma Blomskog. Hi, Emma. How you doing? Good to hear from you. Since you talked about animated films in another stream, how in your view tend to be cute, I got really curious if you've seen Arcane. I saw the first episode and then I bounced off. Not really, and I didn't bounce off of it really in a negative way. I just, I think I bounced off in a kind of like, let's save it for later kind of a way. Can you guys hear the music, or just ever so slightly? What am I even listening to? What the heck is that? Scaramouche sent 0.99 pounds sterling, 0.99 Egyptian valuable papyruses, 0.99 lira. Italian lira. Is lira? No, it's all euros over there, right? 0.99 euros is what Scaramouche sent. Thank you, Scaramouche. It's incredible. It's a wonderful donation. I'd sing you a song if my if I wasn't sick, which makes hearing me sing unbearable. Oh, who cares? All right, here we go. Let me turn off the background music. All right. Scar. Scar. Turn down my gain. Scara. Scaramouche. He sent me 0.99 euros. He put that money in my wallet. He buy me coffee. Well, a big thanks to Scaramouche sending me money. We all want to thank you, Scaramouche. I'm getting lightheaded. I think I'm gonna pass out. I didn't feel good. Possibly pushing it there. Did not exactly. Might have been pushing it there. Yeah, good to hear from you, Emma. I will continue it. I've got I keep a notepad somewhere on my computer where I write. I have a notepad for movie recommendations that people have given me, and a notepad for things that I started but did not continue, but that I intend to continue at some point. By the way, because Emma was asking me about me saying that animated movies are cute and all of that. For anyone who caught my ramblings on the last stream and was either vexed or infuriated by my viewpoint on anime and animated media, don't forget that when I say that animated movies are cute or they really find it impossible to tackle difficult, haughty themes, and that they're just not as good as things that aren't animated, or they're not serious enough, or just it is actually impossible to make a serious or dark animated thing. Just remember, like, seriously, everybody, like, just remember, that is just my informed, educated opinion as a professional of over a decade in this industry, who went to one of the top design schools in the world and was educated in this stuff by the best people in the world. So if anybody's going to have an opinion that is informed about that, it would be me. So just remember that, you know, like, it's not a big deal. Like, you don't need to debate it. You don't need to turn it around. Is he right or is he wrong? Like, if anybody's right, it's me. Is there anything more annoying than being sick when it's 100 degrees out. It's like you want to be cold when you're sick, right? Like the heat is so uncomfy for me. Probably everybody has different opinions, but I personally would prefer to be freezing cold while sick rather than very hot. But I bet there's a lot of people out there who would prefer to be very hot while sick. Let's just say, we're doing Game of Thrones characters because I'm not a good fan. How does it, is it Alistair Thorne or Alistair Thorne? Alistair Thorne. I'm gonna say Alistair. Oh God, fine, I'll look it up. Jesus. Yeah, it's Alistair. It's Alistair. Me, an animation student. Okie dokie. In all seriousness, though, completely understandable, to be honest. The world could use a lot more series films like Arcane. It'd be difficult for it to be in all seriousness, since I'm mostly joking. Here's my swatch. I'm getting Alistair with an E. I'm leaving off the Sayers, though. I can't go Googling Sayers like crazy. Let's see, the last time I was listening to the audiobook, what was the last character I heard of? Steven, have you ever dealt with wrist problems such as tendonitis? No, I have not. I've been very lucky with wrist problems in general. My wrists have been just fine. You gotta stretch your hands. I hope to remain lucky on those things. Rhaegar Targaryen. It was the last one you heard of, I'm sure. No, I think, where did I leave off? I think, I'm gonna do, I think I left off on a Dany chapter in the first book. Let's do, Let's do Book Jorah when he's chilling with the Dothraki. So, Stephen of the Zapata Nation, how are you? I'm good. I am good. I'm a little sick right now, but that don't mean I'm not good. Sorry, I was looking stuff up there. It's Nick Ravioli. Hi, Nick. Was told to copy my favorite artist to improve. Then the impending doom arrive after remembering my favorite artist is Steven Zapata. Oh my god, good luck. It's a rough shake, man. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy series of copies. No, 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 no. It's going to be tough. And the worst part is, it's like, it's not even worth it to copy me unless you're going to copy me all the way. Unless you're going to finish them the way I do. I've been having a lot of tech issues with this Huion ever since I got it. And it's hard to tell if it's the result of the drivers, the Huion, or if it's the way Photoshop plays with it, or if it's just the added strain of processing the third screen for my computer. Hard to know. Francois says, well, damn, you got a Huion? Yeah, me too. With the lasso tool, it tends to lag. Yeah, I have that one specifically. All right, well, that's a good thing to know. That at least one other person specifically has lasso tool lag. Did you delete the drivers from any other tablet you were using? That's a thing apparently? Yes. Yes, I did delete them. Hi, Steven. What's more important in a picture, good design or good drawing skills? It depends on what your situation is, you know? It depends who you're trying to appease, what industry you're in. Usually good design. Usually good design is more important. However, if you're trying to be a straight down the barrel illustrator, then design would not be more important. But in most contexts, design is more important. I use Huion and I don't have trouble with it. I'm on Clip Studio Paint. That's strange. By user Huion TM Clip Studio Paint employee. All right, well, that's good to know. Steven, have you ever had a problem with needing validation from others? Even if not, what would be your advice for artists who let validation from others dictate their life too much? I think I have less need for validation than a lot of artists. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I have no need for it, right? I mean, I think that'd be a little stupid to say, or a little lacking in self-awareness. I mean, I think we all need, maybe not validation, but we do all feed, I think most of us feel we need some amount of acceptance, or at least some sort of feeling that other people think what we're doing is okay. You know, like it's really hard on all of us, I think, if we get the vibe that everybody else thinks we're wasting our time or something like that. But if we're going to be artists, I think almost by definition, if you're going to be an artist, you need to get less worried about that and less tied up with that than most people are. Because for the most part, no one's ever going to validate you as an artist. Maybe your audience will, maybe your fans will, maybe other artists that you work closely with, like your collaborators or your employers and things like that, they might validate you, but general people, including like your family and friends and things like that, if your friends are, you know, non-art friends, friends that you didn't make through art, but friends that you made through school or just meeting them in normal life or anything like that, yeah, they're usually not going to validate you. They have no context for that. They don't get it, you know? They've gone their whole lives just hearing that art is folly and that there's no way to support yourself with it and that it's very competitive and that nobody rewards you for it and that artists are underappreciated and starving. It's like, you have to understand that the cultural influences, the cultural tidal wave there that's telling them that being an artist is a bad idea, even if they love you, they're probably more inclined to believe that torrent of cultural information than they are little old you know? And I'm not saying that's cool or anything like that, but it's almost unreasonable to expect them to go another way, you know? I think being an artist is one of the worst places you could be for validation, for seeking validation. Artists, almost by definition, you've got to be kind of willing to be okay without validation, and you've got to be more interested in showing people what they didn't know they wanted rather than what they did know they want, you know? Because if you just asked any parent what they wish their kid would do, everyone says the same 5 things, right? Doctor, doctor, lawyer, you know the jobs, the same 5 jobs that every doctor, lawyer, engineer, something like that. Every parent says the same 5 things just because in that context, they're bringing you down to the lowest common denominator, right? They don't know you yet. I'm assuming you're asking a parent whose kid hasn't grown up yet, right? They don't know you yet. They don't know how gritty you are. They don't know how much you're willing to deal with. They don't know how inclined you are towards self-determination or ignoring their opinion. They're just going to hope for what is going to keep you out of the gutter and reasonably well paid, because that's what helps everybody, even if that's not really what helps you. So if you want to be an artist, by definition, you're bucking that. You're moving beyond that. In fact, you're basically going in the opposite direction. You're going for something much more dangerous and worrying. So you're just going to have to accept, like Agus says, banker. Like, you're going to have to go a long time without validation, and you're going to have to be very comfortable with that. And you'll laugh, too, because what's going to happen, if I can say so, out of personal experience, is that people are not going to believe in you, and you're going to have to drag them kicking and screaming into the reality where you pulled it off. And then once they're safely there, they're going to be like, I always knew you could do it. It's like they're going to give you validation at that point, and at that point you're not going to want it. You're going to wish that they own the fact that they were non-believing, non-trusting you, fearful little jerks, right? And you're going to wish that, you're going to rebuke their recognition and their validation at that point, you know? Showed a coworker a thing I drew today. I really liked it, but all I got was a slightly upbeat huh, as in, huh, how about that? Yeah. Artists can't rely on, for lack of a better word, normies. Yeah, I mean, it's just not, they just don't, people don't understand art. We all know that intuitively, right? Like, they don't understand art, and they certainly don't understand the journey of it or anything like that. It's like, you really can't expect much else from them. That's just the way things go. It's hard to, like, I don't know what. Like, Jorah owns a painted vest in the Dothraki style. It's like, I don't know what a painted vest is. I'm assuming sort of like the stereotypical, like, hippie kind of a vest based on, like, Native American style, but it's like, I don't know what that means, actually. I'm not sure what they could have meant in the book by that. If you see me looking over there, I'm trying to do research as to, like, what the heck is a painted vest? Damn, that's way too true. That's the story with my dad. Yup. My parents only started liking my art once I showed them it could make money. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, not, it happens to almost everybody. So cut it off at the pass. Just accept that, like most thoughtless people, most people will, you know, they'll throw in for all of the joy and the coolness of you being an artist once it's already pulled off. And while you're getting there, they will tell you to do nothing but the opposite. So just assume they will not be super enlightened or helpful about this thing, and figure it out on your own. And if that makes you strong and focused, that's good. And others will see that in you, and then you will make the friends that you do need to make from that strength and from that self-confidence. That you'll find each other, and you'll have your real art friends. And if you have one or two, that's lucky, and that will be all the support you need. You know, you might want more, but all you need is one or two people who really get it. You only get appreciated if you're willing to draw a portrait for them for no more than $1. Yeah, or if you do their tattoo for them. Look, everyone's just looking for tattoos. That's all they understand. Hey Steven, do you have a Discord channel for your following community? I do have a Discord through my Patreon. If you join my Patreon for even 1 month, you get permanent access to the Discord. I'm very active over there. Lots of people chatting and posting and sharing art. I gotta jump in voiceover there again. I haven't been around in a while. I've been meaning to, I've just been very busy. Why am I getting so much lag? Just whatever. I'll be jumping to chat sometime soon. I will. I've just been very distracted by getting into my post-course launch life, figuring out my daily schedule there to fit in my new responsibilities. And I'm also trying to move. That's been messing up my schedule. Moving is very hard on the schedule because you wind up being on the phone a lot. You wind up leaving all of a sudden to go see a place in the 3 hours before it gets taken by somebody else. I don't know what I'm doing. It's a horrible time to move. The market's crazy. But yeah, trying to move has been very bad on my schedule. Man, I went to see a place on Friday that I was like, man, really, it was one of the few places I've seen so far where I was like, I want to live there. I really want to live there. And it was checking all the boxes. And my wife and I went to see it, and we walked around, and we drove home, and I texted the agent like, I really like it, like, let's do it. How do we get in there? Place was delisted and taken by somebody else before they could even respond to me, and it had gone up earlier that day. Like, damn. I was like, you got to get there right away. It sucks. Steven, have you ever been to Sweden? No, I have not, but I want to go there. I want to go everywhere, Traveling's fun. You staying in New York? Yeah. Hi, Tobias. I'm good. Good luck, Mitchell. Stay out of that. Watch out for heat stroke, man. Don't. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Seems pretty frustrating, the apartment thing. Yeah, it's, just. It's all right. It's all right. We're going to make it through this. We are going to make it through this. Come to Germany. We have beer and bratwurst. No matter what everyone says, I really think AI art will wipe majority of artists out of business. Oh yeah, for sure. It's all over, baby. It's all over, baby. Cash your checks now. It's a bank run on art. Let's get on out of here. Have fun. Do your final drawings. Won't be long before drawing's dead. It's time for the bacchanal, the big goodbye. Whatever the equivalent of a drawing orgy is, it's time to do it. Don't invite me. Not interested. What is... I'm gonna restart my Photoshop real quick, see if that helps with the lag, because it's not just lagging. I'm getting, see that, like I'm getting these extra little flicks on my strokes. Just give me a second here. Would a drawing orgy be something where every single artist draws on the same canvas? I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to put ideas into anyone's minds. I want nothing to do with this. I want nothing to do with this. I just wanted to say, if you want something to do with it, now's the time. Now's the time. You are sarcastic, but think about it. Personal commissions, smaller bands, businesses, the ones who fuel non-celebrity artists will just go the easy route and generate art. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm listening. I've been listening to everybody's positive arguments for a long time. I've had my eyes on AI art for years at this point, since it really first started popping up back in, like, what was it? Well, you know, not first, but first started like showing up in, like, you know, YouTube and art circles. People were like, whoa, have you heard of this idea? Like, what, back in 2017? Something like that. And, oh, I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, I have a pretty negative viewpoint about it. All of my art friends are very mad. They're like, Steven, you're supposed to be positive. Why do you have such a negative viewpoint about AI art? Man, you don't know. It could go any way. It could go any direction. Oh man, Photoshop crashed me while I was recording the second half of my process, and you hear me howling. It's real. I mean, Photoshop is, you know, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but it's not the best piece of software. Steven, I wanted to bounce a thought with another artist, but what do you think art demands of someone? I've come to think art demands an opinion. Yeah, I've found myself saying that many times on this YouTube channel and in my workshops as well. Your opinion is vital. I mean, art is too vast and ephemeral to hope that it will give you some sort of answer or tell you what to do. Art is bottomless, endless. That's the only reason it's been interesting for so long. So by those definitions, or by those criteria, you need to bring an opinion to it, or else you're just going to be hopelessly lost forever, for all eternity. You need to impinge on the art. Or you need to at least be very clear about your opinion that you should not impinge on your art. And then even that will function as an opinion for art. And art will say, you did it, you solved my evil riddle, and now you're in the, I allow you into the holy land of free drawing. Well, you've got to be decisive. Oh man, I am not feeling so well. Nice to draw when you're sick though. Kind of takes your mind off of it a little bit. Moral of the story is that capitalism will render human input obsolete the second it becomes more profitable to do so. Yeah. Should really switch to clip more often. Yeah, I've got to do some dedicated time where I redo clip's interface exactly the way I want and do all my shortcuts and everything and just get in there more often. It really wasn't that much of as much of a problem before I started drawing on this Huion, but maybe that's just because had less to process, and so I was like, oh, even if there's going to be lag, it's still basically imperceptible. But now it's becoming very noticeable with more regularity. But I think something's still weird because it's not consistent. Sometimes it has it and sometimes it doesn't. So I think something's up. That's what I think. Stop watching the stream? Find love? Oh my god. That definitely feels like a personal attack on me. They've never quite done that before. Steven, imagine life without art. What would you do? I don't know. Like no art completely, like I couldn't even teach art, couldn't help others with art or anything like that. I feel like there's so many, even if for some reason I couldn't draw, some evil genie said if I drew, it would kill my family or something like that. There's so many ways I could engage with creativity, even without that. But if it was like, if I had a complete moratorium on creativity, What would I do if I could not be creative at all? I don't know. It'd be hard and sort of a really nefarious question because that's how I make my money, you know? So it's like, before it was like a heart-wrenching question of like, oh no, I can't be creative anymore. I'd have to be like, oh God, how am I going to feed my family? You know, that'd be question number one. If my family was fed and for some reason I couldn't be creative, if there was a complete moratorium on creativity, I'd be fine. I'd just meditate. I would become a monk or something. There's plenty of exciting experiences to be had in the recesses of one's mind. I tried to make him balding, but it looks kind of like he has a tonsure, like he's a monk or something like that, actually. I think I realized that because I was talking about monks. Just need him to look balding, not bald. Would you turn Ryan Gosling into a Lovecraftian being? He'd be like the most boring Lovecraftian being, wouldn't he? Like, I'm just hot and charming. It's a pretty boring Lovecraftian being. The weather in New York right now. We're rocking a solid 92 degrees right now in New York. Fahrenheit. Oh, my wife's sick too. Probably gave it to each other. Wander says, what is the best adult dating site? This site looks interesting. Yeah, guys, check it out. I mean, if you're interested, go check out lovechat.xyz. And whatever, when you go there, it's going to ask you to download a bunch of stuff. Just go ahead and download it. Just go right ahead. Steven, have you checked out the new Sandman series? I have not. Is it good? You know what I want to do on stream is sculpt. I was over at Joseph Marziliano's house yesterday doing a commercial, and I was sculpting with some of his clay and just wasting time while our director was putting together a prop, and it gave me the bug. It was fun. Now I just want to sculpt. It's been a while since I've done that. Maybe I'll go buy some clay tomorrow and I'll try to sculpt on stream on Wednesday or something. Bye, Alstra. Steven, would you ever paint over AI art just for fun? Never. It's a matter of principle. I would never taint my artist's soul by painting over an AI generation. Tar-covered defilement of the soul of the artist. What was I searching? Mari Mazdur? That is not at all how you spell that. Miri Mazdur. Hey Steven, does that sword really fit the sword holder? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And if it doesn't, it's a telescoping sword holder. When the sword goes into it, it telescopes out and it becomes longer. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows Jorah had a magical telescoping sword holder. Miri Mazdur. She is a heavy-set, flat-nosed woman with black hair. She is about 40 years old when Daenerys first meets her. Any tips on writing for environment design? I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean writing for environment design? Like writing prompts for environmental designs? On most jobs, the people who write the environments and design them are not the same people who actually produce the environment. All of the writing and the initial like mood and stuff like that is done by the, you know, if you're working on a game, by the game designer, the creative director. And all of that is sort of already locked in a traditional pipeline. by the time it gets to the game designer. Starting to think I really need mentorship. I mean, a lot of people do. I mean, art is a confusing field. And things change quickly in art. So if you're trying to get into the industries or things like that, you usually need someone who's been in them either very recently or is in them now. Because most of the art schools tend to be behind. They're like a couple cycles of tech and trends behind. So most people need some mentorship. Steven, what kind of commissions you usually get? I don't really do commissions. When I think commissions, I think like commissions for private people, like individuals who are trying to do projects and things like that. I don't really do those. I've never done those. I do work for companies. And those companies are usually, well, it varies. I've done all sorts of stuff. I've done fantasy, I've done real world, I've done pre-production, production, animation, video games, live action, theme parks. I've done storyboards, I've done concept art, I've done finished marketing illustrations, I've done drawn, 3D, photo bashed, everything. Do you believe in media detox for improving concentration? I've done it before, but I've only done it like a couple times, so it can't be like the answer, you know, or else I would have needed to keep doing it. But it's a good thing to try if you're sort of feeling locked in. Like you don't know what else you can do. It was useful for me the one time that I did it. I've said it many times here, but the number one thing that helps the most with concentration is caring about what you're doing, which ironically is one of the hardest things to get going. It's very easy to just do stuff that you don't even like because you think you're supposed to be doing it. And that's the number one thing that makes it hard to concentrate. No, my tea is out. Lucas says, I'm out. Steven never read my questions anyway. Aw, Lucas is gone, and I didn't even read his questions, but I read his goodbye. Hey, Steven, which unsolved historical mystery intrigues you? I don't know. I think less of a specific mystery, but just all of the basic confusion and mystery behind old cultures and like how old exactly certain kinds of culture are and things like that. Like, we have cave paintings and things like that. We've got Lascaux. We've got, what is it, Bluefish Cave and all that, but I wish we knew more about those cultures. It's just they're so old, all we have left is this stuff preserved in the cave. Like, I wish we knew what the heck was really going on there, what they were worshipping. Was it religion? Maybe it wasn't religion at all. How far back does religion go? What was their language like? How deep were their thoughts? How complex was their culture? I'm very interested in all that stuff in general, but I wouldn't say that that's a specific, like, nameable mystery. Do you know anyone who's providing mentorship for environmental design in video games? Right now? I can't say I know if they're doing it right now. Environmental design for video games. Concept or 3D production, Grayson? Nick Ravioli has been on 7 years of media sobriety. He's never looked back. That's intense. Ah, yes, Joe's right. Janosch does have mentorship slots open. You should check him out. He might be up your alley. Joe, give him a link. Joe, I'm making you a mod. So that you can post the link. And delete the occasional porn bot. Don't worry, Joe. I don't expect you to be an actual moderator. I know you're a busy guy. I know you can't actually be reading the chat all the time when you're watching these. I don't expect you to be a real mod. Don't worry. Apres Midi says, fantastic art. Aside, you are just one of the most fascinating minds I've encountered on YouTube. Thank you so much, Apres Midi. I mean, you have excellent taste. That's fantastic to hear. I do have an extremely interesting mind, don't I? Yes, yes. Now that you say it, I mean, I'd never thought about it myself before, but now that you've said it, I'm thinking about it, and it's like, yeah. Yeah, my God, my mind is fascinating. Very cool. Very, very cool. Oh, it's wonderful having a fascinating mind. How do you get mentors, and when is it time to search for one? It's tough. In my experience, you're usually only going to get someone to mentor you if they have said they are open to mentoring people. Artists who are not openly advertising that rarely do it. It worked for me once, just messaging out of the blue an artist who wasn't putting out there anywhere that they were mentoring people or things like that. But I was coming. It wasn't exactly I was coming for a mentorship. I was coming for an independent study through a school program. So it has a bit more weight and like an official feeling to it. And that school was his alma mater. So, he's associated with the school. But if you don't have something like that to sort of like give it a reason, to give it some reason for being, generally you need to look for someone who's saying they're mentoring people, Otherwise, it's very rare they'll take you up on it. So fish around. Look for people who are saying, hey, I'm open to mentoring people. And inquire about their program. It's a little hard. It's a little hard to get, if you think of like being in someone's class as being mentored by them, then classes are the easiest way to get more mentorship. But not all people who are teaching classes are necessarily willing to give sort of one-on-one, like, here's what you should do with your career, here's your strengths and weaknesses kind of stuff, It depends. It ain't easy. Classes would be a good way to go, though, because then the possible mentor will kind of get to know what you're like, and that's a big part of being accepted as a mentee, or at least it makes it a lot easier, because people, not to paint with too broad of a brush, but people in art tend to be a little intense. You wouldn't necessarily be inclined to just take on a deep lot of FaceTime relationship with any random artist. They tend to be we tend to be a little intense, and we tend to be a little neurotic, and not exactly the easiest people to just onboard into your life, So a class is nice because it gives the teacher a more structured way to get to know you and see if your personality aligns with theirs. A little bit of emotional intelligence goes a long way in the art world. It'll make you stand out. Do I need to reach a certain level before I look for a mentorship? No, it just depends on... There's plenty of people who are willing to mentor complete beginners, It just depends on the mentor. Is your IQ higher than Einstein's? Last I checked, yeah. Is it drawing from imagination? Yeah, this is. We're just sketching from our heads here. Have you ever had a situation like this? The first time you make a drawing, you don't like it, but after a few days when you look at it again, you see that the drawing is not so bad? Yeah, it's common. How much of an influence has YouTube had on your exposure compared to social media? I find it really demotivating to tend to social media, though I know it's good for exposure. YouTube has been way better for me than social media. I mean, like Instagram, for example. Yeah, I was never going to sort of make it on Instagram. You know, I'm just not that kind of an artist, you know. For me to be interesting as an artist, I need to kind of be, it's like more of me needs to be involved, you know. I need to be able to talk. I need to be able to express myself. I need to be able to connect with people. You know, my ability to run my mouth, my ability to engage with people socially, which is not necessarily the most common artistic ability. Those are part of my skill set, my particular skill set for me as a person, and they're necessary for me to be interesting at all as an artist. Not in some ultimate sense, right? Like I know my art is good on its own and all that, but I'm saying that in the really violent interest economy that is our current art world, if you want to stand out, you know, if you want to do anything extra, I need to be able to utilize those other parts of my skill set, and it's just not possible in a place like Instagram. But on YouTube it is. You know, on YouTube, I can feel like I'm using my whole skill set instead of just a tiny little part of it. Would you recommend the alla prima approach to digital painting? I don't think it's really relevant to break digital painting down like that. I mean, alla prima is relevant in traditional painting because it implies that it's always wet into wet, and you're not going to do any indirect techniques. But there's just no limits like that in digital. I mean, you could paint alla prima for the first 30 hours and then, you know, it all stays wet, right? You can still blend it perfectly, but then you can do all of the indirect stuff that you want. So I just wouldn't, I wouldn't break it down like that in your head. I think digital is too broad for things like that. Cyanide says, Steven, I took your advice on drawing anime. Draw pointy noses and tiny chins. I bet it looks great. Toe48 says, is it normal for artists to be a little insane and into spiritual and psychological wizardry? Because that's kind of the main reason I'm getting into it. Yeah, it's normal for artists to be a little crazy. For sure. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I started drawing 2 whole weeks ago and I'm still not as good as Kim Jung-gi. He must be cheating. I think he must be. I think he really must be. Steven, I really struggle drawing from a reference, especially when it comes to faces. Usually that's because you're... Very difficult to say something general about that. It's very difficult to draw from reference without some idea of what you're trying to do to it, right? If your goal with drawing from reference is just to make it look exactly like a reference, you're never going to do it. You know, you're never going to quite get there, and it's just going to frustrate your whole endeavor. Even if you're going to draw very realistically, it's usually better to say to yourself, like, yeah, I'm working from this reference, but what I'm trying to nail is the values or the feeling of the light source or the imagined form, which is not actually revealed in the photograph. It's like a projection of what you think this face would look like as a marble sculpture, for example. That's how I work. Or you're really mostly focused on the color field if you're doing a color study. You got to pick one thing and go for that. If you go for everything, it's like you're going to discover after many years that you're not a computer, and then you're just going to quit. You're just going to, the day that you do realize you're not a computer and you've been doing that for, you've been trying to be a computer for 8 years or whatever, then you're just going to start tracing stuff and copy pasting, and it's like, it's going to make perfect sense to you on that day why you should take every shortcut and why you should basically disconnect as much as possible from what you're doing, because you never had an opinion. You never picked something. You never brought yourself to care about a particular aspect of visual phenomena. So you're just going to disengage completely, you know? So avoid that. Are you also interested in 3D? And is 2D even necessary in the industry when you can do everything in 3D? I do 3D. I do some 3D. Not for like art, not to make finished product, but I've done lots of 3D over the years, and I use it for making references for pictures on occasion and things like that. Is 2D even necessary in industry when you can do everything in 3D? I'm not really an industry-minded person in this part of my life, like on YouTube and things like that. Yeah, it's not up to me if 2D is necessary. It's up to the individual studio. It's up to the individual company. It's up to your individual boss. If they say it's necessary, it's necessary. If they don't say it's necessary, then it's not necessary. And that's really all that can be said about it. But I'm not, if you're talking to me here, I have no interest in industry stuff. That's not why I'm here. The only time any of you will encounter like industry Steven is if you meet me on a job. That's the only time you'll encounter the part of me that's interested in what the industry needs or industry concerns. It's completely noxious to me to imagine spending my time sitting here in my home at my desk thinking about what's necessary in the industry, because I spend enough of my time, and I think more than enough time, thinking about that stuff on the job. So I completely empty that out of my head when I'm not on the job. And then when I'm on the job, that's the only thing I care about. When I'm on the job, the only thing I care about is what, like I said, my boss, the company, that project needs and deems appropriate. And I abandon all rules, all structures, and I do the job as well as I can, as fast as I can, in the method that they prescribe, on time and under budget. Are you drawing mostly on tablet or on paper? These days I'm pretty evenly split. I don't know. Is it possible for introverts to get in the industry? It is, but it's difficult. Steven, have you ever tried to learn to code or thought of it? No, I don't really have any need for it right now. I don't know what I would do if I knew with coding knowledge, you know? Do you think time under the pen is more important in the beginning or focused practice? Probably just time with the pen. How important is timing yourself working? Very important. If you want to go like long haul, if you want to have a really intense art practice, which is not necessary at all, by the way. I'm just saying if you're the kind of person who finds you do want an intense one, I say going through a significant exposure to timing yourself, figuring out how long it actually takes you to do things is extremely important. I need to get water. Damn, guys, I'm not feeling good today. I gotta shake it. I have got to shake it. What is the benefit of timing oneself? You know, timing yourself, I would say you learn a lot of things from timing yourself, but the number one most important and universal thing that people learn when they time themselves is that they're not working nearly as much as they thought. And not in like a gritty 8 hours way. It's the very specific thing I'm talking about is that, and you won't believe it until you actually do it, you will learn that you have a tendency to think you have been working for 40 minutes when you've been working for 7 minutes. That's the number one most important thing. And it's universal. Everybody discovers that when they start timing themselves. And there's no faking it. You either get that or you don't. And it's extremely valuable because once you internalize that, once you realize that you really do that and that you have a totally warped conception of how much effort you're putting into something, it makes you more patient, makes you more inclined to spend a long time on things. Ink Tat says, hey, I'm currently saving for the course. Are they download files, 4K? They're not download files, no. I'm happy to hear you're saving for the course, though. They are 4K. They are 4K, but they're streaming only. Good thing, too, because they're gigantic files. You wouldn't want to download those 4K files. It would take forever. Hey, Steven, I want to start doing art studies, but I'm not sure how to do them properly. Do you have any advice? Let me ask you, have you ever heard of my incredible drawing course? because I've heard of my incredible drawing course, and I think you should take it. The link is in the description. Link is in the description of this video. You can find my course, www.formfromimagination.com. Truly. Do you have an exact mental visualization of your drawing before you draw, or it's improvisation? I can have an exact mental visualization, but I rarely use that. I think the exact mental visualization is actually almost a symptom of how deeply my subconscious is connecting with what I'm drawing. So I can have that visualization, but I don't know, I just don't actually do it a lot of the time, you know? I mostly just, like you said, I improvise. I just react to what's going down on the paper. Bye, Vega. I'm definitely going to try that because I feel like when I draw, I do it for so long, but maybe it's a false perception. For most people, it is. And I would recommend, and a lot of people have heard me rant about this, get one of these. Do not use a tab in Google on your browser. It's like you'll forget the tab is there. You won't turn it on. When you take a break to go do something else, you'll forget to turn it off. Don't use a stopwatch in a tab. You want to use a real watch. I like a stopwatch that sits in my desk that I can hit start stop on, and I don't like a wristwatch or something like that. Like even that is easy to forget about because it's just kind of over there on your other hand. This is big, right in my face, sitting in front of me on my desk every time that I draw, and it makes it easy to just hit start, hit stop. And the way that I handle my discipline is that I just run this and I let myself take as many breaks as I want. I can go look at Reddit, look at my phone, go exercise, do whatever. I let myself take as many breaks as I want. I can have as many distractions as I want, but I hit the button when I take my distraction, when I take my break. And that's enough. I find I barely need to like structure my discipline. Just a raw fact of a number that is honest will automatically make me understand like I need to buckle down for the next 3 hours or something like that. For me, I think it's impossible to have an exact mental visualization. Reaction is just too much fun. It is fun, yeah. It's more energetic a lot of the time. Stephen, on the matter of your course, since you are live, I think I misunderstood hatching on the sphere. To me, hatching means drawing parallel lines close to one another, pattern-like, but looking at the sphere of others and yours, you seem to gently blanket areas in a single back and forth stroke. Well, yeah, I would agree, or I would say yes to the hatching doesn't need to be like a really rigid, like they have to be parallel, they have to be close together, and they have to be like a noticeable pattern. Yeah, it definitely doesn't need to be that. But the other students, you'd need to ask them. But for me, on the sphere, I'm not scrubbing back and forth when I render the sphere. I'm doing clean lifts, you know? So I'm not looking for this when I hatch. I'm not trying to get that pattern, but I do the lifts. So I try not to go, and you'll hear my thoughts on this if you rewatch what your pencil can do. I try not to go like this. And certainly not on the sphere, because these overlaps will get darker with the pencil and leave a repeating pattern of those dark little corners. When I'm doing something like the pencil and a lot of my own drawings, I don't go for that pattern, but I do the lifts. They're often just so close together that it all blends together. When I render with pencil, that's what I go for most of the time. But I'm not looking for a rigid pattern. You know, there can be dither. You know, I can sort of go like this. It can be a little irregular like this. If it's tight enough and you're doing it with pencil and there's natural softness to the edges, just a little bit, it will kind of blend together, you know? But I try not to scrub. You can still get good results with scrubbing. I just think it's a little harder to control because of those little overlap areas. What's the approximate time you found yourself drawing in a day with the stopwatch tracking? It depends on the task. When I'm on the job, it's really high. You know, it's like anywhere between, I'd say if I'm on a job, it's usually at least 6, and then I try to not do more than 10, or else I'm on the road to burnout, you know? 6 to 10. If I'm not on a job, if I'm just doing my own thing, I try not to do much more than, I try not to do more than 5. That way I'm not burning myself out, you know? I like leaving a lot of gas in the tank. Did you use the same timer method when you were a student? I've had that timer for a long time. That specific one I've had for a very long time. And yeah, I used the timer when I was a student too, because at a certain point when I was a student, I started giving myself hard limits on homework assignments, because my program was extremely homework oriented, extremely aggressive with homework. And if I wanted to maintain my sanity, after years of failure with other methods, I realized I just needed to put hard caps on things. So no matter how important I thought an assignment was, no matter how much I wanted to impress the teacher, etc., I would plan my week. I would give the assignment a hard out, you know, so I would say I can afford to do no more than 4 hours on this assignment. I would start it, I would time it, And no matter how much it hurt, no matter how disappointed I was in the quality of the product, I was done once the timer hit 4 hours. And that was that. That was how we did it. That was real time management, you know, the kind that hurts. That was one of the most brutal lessons I ever learned. Took a long time to learn, and I learned it for a long time. If you're doing real time management, it hurts. It hurts like hell. Are you working on a screen tablet or normal? Currently on a screen tablet. When you have the timer on, do you remove all distractions like music and podcasts? No, not necessarily. When I'm streaming, I tend not to have music or stuff like that on. But if I'm on my own, I'm usually listening to something, you know, audiobooks, things like that. I'm sick, my wife's sick, and my dog has a cough. Do you have any idea how paranoid we were when we realized that? When we woke up and all three of us were sick, we were like, my God, what do we have? Anyone ever call you Zap Brannigan? I can't say they have. I really can't. Hey Carlos, how you doing, man? You okay over there, pup? So did you manage any personal art while in art school, or was it just focus on schoolwork and then chill for the rest of the time? I was not big into chilling. Yeah, I did a lot of personal artwork, but not like personal art, not like, you know, oh, what do I really want to do? Like, wow, let me make an incredible story or something like that. I just did a lot of extracurricular work, you know, and kept up my independent study and things like that. Like my program was really focused on design. They weren't super deep into like teaching particular deep drawing, not deep, but like if you wanted to learn how to draw the figure, obviously that's just like a whole career, right? If you want to be a great figure draftsman, that's just a whole career on its own. And there's whole art schools and books that are dedicated only to that. So even at a great art school, if that's not the only focus, you're just not going to get all of that. So I realized that. So I did my schoolwork and everything like that, but I supplemented my design education with a lot of extra work in figure drawing and life drawing and more intuitive drawing, the more illustrative side of things. The stuff that my program wasn't really, they taught it to us, you know, they gave us a few classes in it, but it was never a focus. They were really focused on design. Not that you could get away with drawing a bad figure, but they were like, get good at it on your own. So to you, personal art equals more grinding? Back then, at least. Not now. Now I don't believe in that. Tywin, August 8th. But, you know, back then, I was extremely concerned with being excellent. And it ain't easy. It ain't easy to be a really good artist, especially, well, maybe not especially, but exclusively if you're going to only be satisfied with a very difficult way of doing it, right? I'm just a stubborn jerk. So I was like, I'm not going to be proud of myself unless I can sort of like draw from my head and freely and draw whatever I want and blah, blah, blah. Like I have this whole long list of, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it my way. It's got to be like this. Like that's what the inside of my brain sounds like. And it ain't easy. It ain't an easy way. You know, there's a lot of easier ways to do it. There's a lot of easier things to be satisfied by. There's paths that are less loaded with disappointment and self-sabotage. So if you're like me and you're only going to be happy if, you know, you do it like the hardest damn way possible, well, yeah, by definition, you're probably going to put yourself through hell, you know? Be nice to yourself if you can. Give yourself a break. Jesus. Use a little AI art, you know? Just like, let the computer do it. Come on. That scares me because that kind of sounds like the inside of my brain a little. Yeah, I mean, that's the inside of a lot of artists' brains. So it's not unusual, and be cautious. It's not unusual. I'm one of the lucky ones that made it out alive from that without having much in the way of good advice and guidance. I had some, but not much. Things easily could have gone another way for me. I got very lucky. You've got to watch out. Hello, Mihail. Do you ever paint digitally on top of a scanned drawing? What do you think about this method? I've done it a few times, yeah. It works. I did, oh God, where do I have it? Oh, best adult dating site, where art thou? Let's see if I can find this quick. How big is this version? I did this one over a scan drawing. This is a long time ago now. This is not the full res, but this one had like a basically done complete pencil drawing underneath it. And then yeah, and then I just went through and painted step by step over it. Just making the lines disappear. Steven, why artists hate the word talent? They'll attack you if you use it on an art group. Because they think if they can make nobody say the word, then that'll mean it's not real. They think that if they refuse to acknowledge the existence of talent, that'll mean it isn't real, that it doesn't exist. But that's not gonna work. And they're gonna go their whole lives encountering people who prove to them that talent is real. I've never read The Human Phenomenon. Your color method is after gray level? No, I tend to, these days, I tend to just, if I'm going to do something in color, I like to just go straight to color. It just gives you more control. Well, it depends what you want. You might experience working over grayscale as being more control, but... Before I understood what was happening when I colored grayscale paintings, it was just like too risky to go in just with color. But once you get what's happening there, once you understand how the color is changing the perception of values, then, I don't know, at least for me, it winds up being nice to be able to go straight to color, because then you can actually evaluate your painting with the colors. You don't have to guess what it's going to look like once you put the colors in. On the other hand, saying someone is talented is almost insulting, as you are dismissing all the practice and effort put into it. Personally dislike when they say, oh, you are so talented. Talent is a weird thing. It's real, but it depends on what you do with it. In college, a good number of talented students kind of gave up in some cases. Meanwhile, those who weren't improved. Yeah, it's, I'm definitely not talking about a naive view of talent, right? Like something that someone who's not another artist might say, or, you know, when someone you meet at a coffee shop says, wow, you're so talented. I'm not talking about that. Like, obviously they, yeah, it's maybe a little insulting, and they don't have a sophisticated enough view of it to understand just how much work you've put in, but that's not what I'm talking about. You know, we're talking artist to artist here. And amongst those of us who do kind of understand the hard work and all of that, that does put us in a position to occasionally meet someone who just gets it. You know, if you meet enough artists and you have enough exposure, and especially if you're a teacher, you know, you eventually just you can't deny it. You can't be like a weird, ignorant jerk about it. And that you wouldn't want that either, right? Like, you have to honor the fact that occasionally you get the honor of bumping into someone who's like, oh, that's cool. Like, they're just a freak. Like, they just get it, even though they've only been drawing for, a very little bit of time, or they just picked it up or something like that. It happens, and it's like, it's just a fact of life. It's actually very uninteresting if you remove all of this emotional reaction to it, which is purely self-reflection, which is purely you worrying about what that means about you, or if you should even be doing this, or, well, I don't have the talent, so is this the best expenditure of my time? Like, all of the angst about it is pure self-reflection. If you just remove that, it's just like, it's just something to be nurtured and appreciated. Just that some people have a very interesting or compelling starting point or aptitude for particular things. And yeah, absolutely, many of those people, even the ones with some of the most overwhelming talent, will not continue with it, because they're like, oh, well, I'd much rather be a banker, because no matter how talented I am, I can't make any money in this world, or something like that. So it doesn't mean they're going to do it. It doesn't mean that they're going to become, it doesn't even mean they'll have a good career, because they might be a jerk. They might be bad at marketing themselves. They might be deeply uninteresting. That happens too. It doesn't mean they're going to be good. It's just, you have to acknowledge that, I don't know. I think it's crazy to claim, I don't know, people who say talent really doesn't exist, I don't know where they've been. Like, you need more friends, I think. You need to meet a few more hauntingly talented people. Grayson says, I met a freak at my school. He got crazy good in a few months, then quit. It made me sad because he was really cool. Yeah, it happens. It really does happen. And it's like, I'm not sure that's a shame, Certainly a shame to not have a cool person to hang out with, but if they could see that they had a knack for this thing and it was going well quickly and they bailed on it, it's just like, it wasn't for them, Definitely a shame for all of us. We don't get to see the cool pictures they would have made. Oh no, I merged my arm and body layers. Alright, whatever. Whatever. Reading something nowadays that is inspiring you? I'm reading The Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval Europe. I think I'm definitely inspired by that. It's not the most exciting read, but I love stuff like that, so I think I'm definitely a bit inspired by it, yeah. Why is this not... Jesus. Yep, Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval England. Forget the author's name. What's the author's name? Ian Mortimer. Give me a second. Sorry, very important text to answer. Whoa. What the heck does a roaring lion look like? Roaring lion. I got a funny picture of a lion sneezing when I looked for a roaring lion. Hi Steven, much love from Belgium. I struggle with hair and graphite portraits. Any tips or tutorials? Thank you, Tom. You know, the first most important thing is usually, is it dark or is it light? So if it's brown or black hair, usually the first thing that needs to happen is that you need to actually get the mass of the hair blocked in. You've got to get it in there nice and dark. And no amount of rendering or anything like that will fight the fact that the local value for the hair feels off. And then after that, it's really just about rendering it kind of sculpturally. At least it is for me. You just sort of break it down into ribbons, like, you know, let's say this is a lock of hair. You get a light side and a shadow side, and you try to respect that. Let's say it's dark hair, so let's say it's dark brown or black. You get it nice and dark. You look for a light side and a shadow side. You look for where there would be some sort of highlight on that. So let's say if the light's coming from the top left, you catch a little, oops, I've been on multiply this whole time. You'd catch a highlight somewhere at that bulge right there, maybe another at this concavity here, and then you just render it like it's a little bit stringy. And you let the pencil do the work. Thank you, Joe. You follow the flow like that. Think of it sculpturally. I'm interested in the historical fantasy genre. Most of the mentors I'm finding do great sci-fi work. Would this difference in genres be a big deal? I'm assuming it wouldn't. Well, I mean, it depends on the nature of the... It depends on the nature of the education. You're not going to be able to get... It's hard to say. That's what I would say. Because it depends how you feel about quote-unquote historical fantasy, you know? It's like, if you're really into it being historical, then there's going to be a lot... You're just barely going to be able to get anything on those topics from someone who doesn't know anything about the history or how those eras actually worked or the nature of those cultures or anything like that. But you might not actually need that, you know? If you just focus instead and can generalize on your own and focus on general design ideas, then you're going to be all right, you know? It's like you can make yourself the master of the genre there and understanding that world. And you can instead make your education about design concepts and design ideas. Not implying I think you should be stuffy about historical fantasy or anything like that. I mean, it seems to be at its best when it's distinctly ahistorical. Hey Steven, I've seen that you use light and shadow in many of your streams. In digital media, do you use basic round or square brushes, or do you use textured ones to recreate traditional media? I use the basic round brushes for the most part. I find digital's attempts to recreate traditional media extremely lacking and more frustrating than they're worth for the most part. So I just don't even bother. I'd rather just use digital in the way that it sort of is naturally inclined, you know, letting it be rather artificial and leaving perfectly clean blobs and razor sharp lines and things like that. Getting a really airy airbrush out of it. Like, I prefer to just do that and lean into it rather than try to pretend it's something that it's not. By the way, just tuned in and enjoying the stream so far? Well, we're happy to have you. Hi, Steven. I always wondered what professional artists think about speed. Should you focus on your art and let your speed increase naturally, or should you aim for it with timed practices and such? People have different opinions on that. I'm personally of the increase it naturally party. That's where I fall. I think that trying to force speed, especially too early, is just extremely detrimental for artists. Because I think one of the most necessary things in drawing specifically is the ability to sink into your work and to connect deeply with the sort of the reality beyond the page, to experience your picture as something real that you are making. That's very hard to fake, and it's sorely missed if it's not around, you know? So if that's not there, if that's never been experienced, that's a big problem for a lot of artists. And I think if you are rushing, it's almost impossible. Hello, Steven. I love your work. Thank you. If I may ask, what do you think about Procreate? I think Procreate is great. I use Procreate a lot. I feel like speed is just a consequence of comfort and familiarity. Yeah. I'm sorry if this is not the place to ask this, but can you tell if someone won't make it as a professional? I'm not sure if I'm cut out for it, but studying something I'm not passionate about. I don't think, I don't know. You know, I feel like there's always room to surprise yourself and others. So I would be very slow to ever think I like had someone pegged like that. Like I knew they're not going to make it or anything like that. I think we live in a world of wonder. You know, even your most sure assumptions are bound to be, it's possible that they're wrong. So I don't know. I don't think I would ever, yeah, I don't think I could tell that someone doesn't have it in them. It's like art is so personal and involves so much of your personality that what hope could another person have of like, what do they know everything about you? Like in a lot of cases, everything about you goes into your art. So for someone to say that you are never going to be able to do it well enough is like them claiming that they know everything you've got in you, you know? It's not like saying you're, you know, not fast enough to be a basketball player or something like that, you know, where you could like time it. It's just, yeah, I don't think that makes sense, you know. I don't think it could be so cut and dry like that. What is your opinion on studies? I'm told they are basically mandatory, but how does one study correctly and not just try to copy? But then if the study themselves aren't accurate, does that signify that I must copy better? Do you mean like master studies? I mean, there's so many different kinds of studies. They are not mandatory, for the record. There's been many ages of art where, at least not our current conception of studies. There's been many ages of art where students basically just did a couple life drawings, you know, they did life drawings or just worked on their master's paintings, and that was how they learned from doing it alongside their master. Like, you don't have to be copying photos ad nauseum and copying other artists ad nauseum. I think there's certainly a comfortable, useful way to work, but there's no way they're mandatory, you know? There's nothing mandatory in art. Your teacher can make them mandatory, which would be useful for them because they're easy to grade, or you know, they give some structure to something that is otherwise very structureless. But all right, everybody, we got about 3 hours in. I'm feeling pretty damn sick today, and I gotta go start dinner, so I think I'm gonna hop off. Usually when I hop off, it's out of necessity. But Today, I must admit, I'm hopping off because of weariness. I am just feeling a little beat up today. But there's my Tywin. At least we got a cool sketch of Tywin. I got to do the lion on the top of his helmet. We got some other sketches in there, but Tywin was definitely the one that I parted the clouds of my sickness for. He's coming out pretty cool. Goodbye, Yankee. Yeah. Goodbye, Yankee. Goodbye, Mihail. Goodbye, Shonix. Goodbye, Joseph, my dear friend. Goodbye, Hainai. Goodbye, Max. Goodbye, Barbecue Ted. Goodbye, Cranky Beast. Goodbye, Nata5. Goodbye, a man. A man. Yeah, thank you, Joe, for modding. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Danilo Bergini. Thank you for the stream. Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for being here, everybody. Always happy to have company while I sketch and draw. Yes, thank you all for drawing today. Have a blast drawing today if you're going to keep drawing. Have a good night in general, or day, or afternoon. You know, it's very cosmopolitan, very, you know, all over the world around here. Very international, very international. Goodbye, Carlos. Goodbye, Persona. Goodbye, Trianos. Goodbye, Dayron. Goodbye, Clone Wolf. I'm assuming that's Clone Wolf. Or is it Shlone Wolf? Goodbye, Wakar. Goodbye, Light Loliet. Goodbye, Cranky Beast. Goodbye, JB. Goodbye, Pedro. Goodbye, AP. Goodbye, 16 Huion Kalani. Goodbye, Darkery. All right, everyone. See you soon. Thanks for hanging out. Peace, everybody.